Hello, everyone. How are you guys? Happy Friday. Thank you for tuning in to What's the Buzz. I'm your host, B. Silva. So I want to say first off, I'm so sorry for missing my show on Wednesday. I was currently living with no AC. So as you can imagine, life in quarantine with no air condition is not fun. So on Wednesday, I had the AC company come out and check out my unit, and I had to get a new compressor and a new coil. But luckily, I have an AC, so I'm enjoying the cool air. But today, on the first half of the show, I'm going to be covering some COVID-19 updates. Then on the second half, we're going to be talking with Nicole Ferris, personal trainer and host of Never Say Can't. But I'm looking at the calendar, and guys, can you believe it's already May 1st? So crazy. I feel like March seriously just dragged on, and somehow April just flew by. It's probably because by April we were already adjusted to life in quarantine. So instead of in March, I feel like this later half of the month, I was like twiddling my thumbs, looking out the window, being like, what the heck am I supposed to do with myself all day long? And by the time that I started, I feel like I kind of set my routine and I started figuring out what I really wanted to do to keep myself busy. So I'm super happy that I finally was able to really kind of get myself on a schedule and really decide what I wanted to do with myself. So now that I'm adjusted to life in quarantine, Governor Ron DeSantis announced on Wednesday that most of Florida will enter what he calls phase 1 of the reopening process this coming Monday. However, Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties will not open on this date due to higher amounts of COVID-19 infections. So as of April 23rd, Palm Beach County had reported over 2,000 confirmed COVID-19 cases and 135 deaths. The city of West Palm Beach is actively working to combat the virus by opening an emergency operations center on Congress Avenue. Assistant Fire Chief and Emergency Manager Brent Bloomfield is warning about the possibility of a mass outbreak. The Operations Center will help the city collect and analyze data before it implements their plans to combat COVID-19. EOC staff are working remotely. Bloomberg says West Palm Beach officials are coordinating with a task force to ensure the safety of the city's most vulnerable residents. Leaders are also planning ahead for hurricane season, which starts on June 1st. Now, can you imagine, we're just getting out of quarantine, we're trying to start to live life again, and boom, we get hit with a hurricane? Like, that would just be catastrophic. I feel like we're barely able to keep our heads up as it is now, and then having to deal with a hurricane on top of that would be horrific. So COVID-19 would definitely complicate evacuation and shelter plans. Now, while the overall spread may have slowed down, Broward County reported almost 4,200 cases and over 140 deaths as of April 23rd. And Miami-Dade reported more than 10,000 cases and 240 deaths. President Trump's new guidelines for reopening parts of the county are detailed in his 3-phase plan. So we're kind of starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. There is plans in place to reopen businesses and non-essential companies. So the phase 1 allows restaurants, houses of worship, community centers, gyms, golf courses, and boating docks to reopen under social distancing guidelines. This will likely mean that many of these non-essential businesses will have to operate under a much lower capacity. So for restaurants, for example, instead of having, the tables back to back to back, I can only imagine that the tables are going to be at least 6 feet apart. And I feel like the restaurants are going to want to offer more outside seating because that tends to be what people are feeling more comfortable sitting outside. I feel like they think it's a little bit more safer than the inside restaurant area. And then, like I said before, I feel like servers are going to be covered with face masks, gloves. I don't think you're going to see silverware on the table. Just because businesses are starting to reopen doesn't necessarily mean things are going to go back to normal just yet. So on the other hand, schools, bars, and movie theaters in this phase will remain shut down. And there will still be no visits to senior facilities because seniors are at the highest risk of dying due to COVID-19. Now, phase 2, probably the most important phase, allows schools to possibly reopen again if everything goes well. Activities like after-school programs, daycares, and summer camps can also come back if everything goes to plan in phase 1. Non-essential travel like flying to visit family or going on vacation could also return back to normal. Parks and shopping centers could even welcome guests back again. Now, I think phase 2 is probably going to be the biggest leap out of all the phases just because that's opening schools again is going to be a huge thing for families right now. My mom takes care of my niece. She is going to be 7 years old on May 2nd, so happy birthday to her. But she has just been, it's really hard having to entertain a child all day long. I do not have any kids yet, so I really can't say on what it's been like or for me because I've just been kind of doing what I've been wanting to do all day, which I'm so thankful for. But I can only imagine the parents out there, on top of having to worry about bills, worry about their job, they have to entertain their child all day. So hopefully schools will be going back to normal, if not daycares and summer camps, just to offer some relief for parents right now. Phase 3 is also really the first phase where at-risk individuals can return to public life while still maintaining social distancing. So keep in mind, even though things are starting to come back open, masks are probably still going to be required. Staying 6 feet apart is going to be still enforced. So public venues could operate under less intense social distancing rules. Employers could also bring on full workforces again, possibly in phase 3, but it still should be noted that there are no timelines on any of these phases. Individual states and local governments are given lots of leeway into deciding when, if, and how they'll reopen their economies. So really that could mean phase 1 lasts 3 months until your state enacts phase 2, or phase 2 might not happen for some time. It's hard to say because no one really knows what's going to happen. No one can really tell the future, so we really can't say when exactly any of these phases are going to happen. Some cities like Los Angeles have decided to ban large gatherings until 2021. We can only imagine what Miami is planning to do right now. We are still under lockdown, unlike the other counties in the rest of Florida. So Miami-Dade, Broward, and West Palm Beach are going to be still under lockdown and quarantine until further notice. I see that we have Nicole here, but before we welcome Nicole over, I wanted to do a quick book of the week. I know I talked about 100 Years of Solitude last time, but I really love this book. It's called The 5 People You Meet in Heaven. I had to read it, I believe, in high school, so it's an easy read. And I'm just going to read a quick little snippet for you before we welcome Nicole. Yeah, so this would be one of my favorite books. I highly suggest reading it. And I think it's only 200 pages, so super quick, easy read. And so basically it's about Eddie, who is a war veteran who feels trapped in a meaningless life of fixing rides at a seaside amusement park. Then on Eddie's 83rd birthday, dies in a tragic accident trying to save a little girl from falling off a cart. With his final breath, he feels two small hands and then nothing. He awakens in the afterlife, where he learns that heaven is not a lush garden of Eden, but a place where you can visit your earthly life and where your life is explained. So I think this is a great book to read. And if you guys have any suggestions for me, please put them down in the comments below. I would love to know what you guys are reading or what you guys are doing to help pass the time. I recently started getting into puzzles, and so that's been kind of my forte during this quarantine. But we'll welcome Nicole over now that she's here, and I have a few questions for her. So I'm so excited to see what she's been up to.
Oh, hello.
Hello, Nicole. How are you?
I'm good. I'm a
morning.
Yeah, so I just got done training and I like slapped on some makeup and here we are.
I feel like I woke up this morning and I was like, oh snap, I still have to get my script ready for today and like see what I'm talking about. But on top of all of that, I lost my phone in my house somewhere.
Yeah,
So where would be, I know it's probably going to be like under a cushion somewhere. Like that's where, where things go to die in the couch.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely, yeah, I've lost my phone there a couple of times. And it sucks when you have those couches that have the cushions that go like really deep and like it's gone forever type of thing. So
yes, super crazy. But Nicole, welcome to my show. Thank you for being on. If you could tell guests a little bit about yourself. I know you do personal training, and then also about your new show.
Okay, so yeah, hi guys, I'm Nicole. I mean, pretty much simple. Like, I started a journey, which is called Never Say Can't, which then led into personal training because I used to be 220 pounds. So I lost 70 pounds and then fell in love with personal training and started a business. Just, it's really for my father. He passed away from, what do you call it? He passed away from dialysis and like a high blood pressure, diabetes, everything. So, it really made me realize that like I don't want to follow the same path that he led down and I want to, complete his journey with the Never Say Can't movement. And so I picked it up and started the personal training business, lost the weight, did all that. And now I started a show and I'm learning about other people who have overcome obstacles of their own. So I've met people who have been in jail and come out after 10 years and started a auto body shop. I've met people who have been on their weight loss journey. I've met people who, just have their own stories to tell and sometimes nobody wants to listen. So I want to give them that platform to.
Oh, I absolutely love that. And how long, so you said, how long have you been doing your IGTV show for?
So my IGTV started with car chats on Tuesdays. I would just give like a 5-minute motivational type of speech. And then relatively it branched off into, I'm kind of sick about talking about myself. So I want to hear other people's journeys because it's not about me. Never Say Can't is a movement where it's like just taking that word out of your vocabulary. And I want to meet people who did that. That started a month ago. It's been an idea for a while, but now that I finally have been able to sit down and like actually do this, it's been amazing to like hear the process and the journeys and everything.
No, that's totally true. I feel like quarantine, a lot of people see the negatives of staying home and like, but I feel like it gives us a lot of time to like really focus on the passions that we just couldn't do before quarantine. So that's amazing. I'm glad you're using your time productively. Sometimes I beat myself up on days where I'm like, you could have done more, or like, you need to do X, Y, and Z. Do you ever feel like you like find yourself like struggling to keep up with what you think you should be doing during quarantine?
That's one of my biggest debates is like, you see all those posts on Instagram that are like, oh, you should be using this time to start a business. You should be using this time to, read a certain amount of books or like read self-help books. And you know what? Sometimes it's okay to not be okay. So I'm actually like on the other end of the spectrum with that. I totally believe like if you want to sit down and just spend time with your kids or your family, there's nothing wrong with that. I feel like this is the time to recenter with yourself, and then you don't have to have a plan of action, but kind of know where you want to go. But it doesn't mean that you have to be like every single day working 17 hours, because sometimes, and I'll tell you from experience, like I was on the unemployment site because I was furloughed for 40 hours. And that took me 3 weeks just to submit my application. So
Right.
there's people out there who have like families. So you have to start a hustle. But if you don't want to sit on the couch, it's okay. Like, this is a
No,
really sad time right now.
yeah, I definitely have days. And I also wanted to ask you, okay, I know quarantine pounds is a thing for me, so I've gained some weight over quarantine. And how would you, or what would you suggest for the people who are looking to shed some weight inside their homes?
Okay, so you guys can follow any trainer has been posting free workouts. Like, they've been posting those. If you don't want to work out, I don't blame you. It's hard. Sometimes you don't have like weights, and it's really unmotivating at your own house. I would just say take walks. A lot of people are getting fresh air. They're taking walks. Those are great. And if you have put on some pounds, it's okay. But if you want to get back on track, I definitely recommend downloading MyFitnessPal. It just keeps you accountable. So even if you are gonna eat relatively like bad because that's all you have, because we all stocked up on like processed food, just put it in your app and just track what you're eating, because that's going to hold you accountable. And then when you realize what you've been eating all day, you're like, I really don't need that fourth donut. I think I'm going to hold off a bit. So,
And what are some of your favorite workouts right now?
okay. So my favorite are definitely HIIT training. So I like to set a timer and I'll just do like 4 moves for like 4 rounds for 45 seconds each. That's definitely mine. You can find a lot of those on YouTube. And definitely leg days are my favorite. So I've been keeping up with that. But I don't have weights. As a personal trainer, I don't even have weights in my home. So I'm using a lot of like uh, just body weight. And I've been running a lot too. That's been keeping me sane. So I'm trying to train for a half marathon now.
Oh my gosh, congratulations. That's amazing. I noticed right at first I've never been the kind of person to run or like really do like that kind of to me hardcore exercise, but since quarantine I have been running and I was shocked. I downloaded, I don't know if it's like a running app and it just tracks like your distance, and I was kind of shocked at how easy it was for me to run a mile. It did take me like 20 minutes and I was probably like going at like a snail's pace, but I just never thought, I was like, oh my God, I ran a mile today. And that kind of pushed me to go more.
Right.
So that's amazing. And so you said 5K or half marathon? How many miles is that? Okay.
Oh my God. 20, ooh, 13. It's 13 miles. It's like
Oh my.
13.2.
And how many, like, do you know how many hours it normally takes to complete a half marathon?
I want to say like anywhere to 2 to 3 hours average,
Oh, wow.
because you get pretty tired, but there is people who can finish it in under 2 hours. Uh, right now, 6 miles for me takes like an hour and like a couple minutes.
Oh my
So
goodness.
I'm trying to get that long so I can
That's
train for that.
incredible. I hope, I don't know when, like, Florida is starting to do like their phase 1 reopening. So, except for Broward, except for where we live, everything's going to be
Right.
opening. But do you think like runs are going to be like something that's going to be happening, or do you feel like they're going to try to make a way to do it like everybody in their own lane doing this marathon?
Um, I definitely think when we go back out there, it's going to be different, especially with gyms. But I think a lot of people have actually started to step outside their homes because we have the time. So you see a lot of people in neighborhoods walking, a lot of people running. So I definitely think for like marathons and 5Ks, I don't know how that's going to work. They're probably going to distance everybody, but there's going to be so many people that I know, like for my gym, we're going to have to wear masks when we reopen.
Oh wow!
So I'm
And
pretty sure it'll be
they
the
say
same for
anything
running.
else? Did they say
What
anything else
happened?
like any other Did they say like any other procedures they're going to do that are not what you guys were doing before? Because of course you guys were cleaning, I'm sure, and wiping down things, but is there anything out of the norm that they're doing?
Yeah, we can have up to 30 people in a camp, and now we are only allowed to have 8.
Oh, wow.
So
That's a huge drop.
yeah, so it's going to be different to see the excitement because it's when you have a camp full of 30 people, you feed off that energy as a trainer, and then to go to 8 people, not that they won't hold the same energy, but it's like your community, was downsized tremendously. So we'll see how that goes. But I do know that that's like the 2 procedures that we've been talking about.
Oh, wow. And then so are people going to have to like bid on who's going to be able to go into the gym that day? Or how's
I
that
don't
schedule going to work?
I think we have to open up more camps. So we have to open more time slots so other people can come in and do that.
Oh, wow. Okay. And so I forgot to ask, what days does your show air and what time?
Okay, so because we're in quarantine and I'm trying to just pick up any relative audience, honestly, it goes Monday to Friday at 8 o'clock p.m. If I am not airing that night, it is either because someone bailed on me and I couldn't find someone last minute, or just life happens. But it does air every night at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, and it is on my Instagram at Never Say Can't, and then you can find it there and it's on the live. So yeah, if you have anybody who would like to be interviewed or anything, send them my way.
Yes. Okay. So, viewers, if you heard her, if you have anybody that you think would like to be interviewed, just put their name in the comments below over here. But, Nicole, our show is about to wrap up. So, I wanted to thank you so much for being on it. And any last words of advice or any last thing you would want to share to viewers or to me?
Yeah, I definitely say, you guys, if you have a goal and you want something, go get it. Like, just take the lifestyle, just take the motto, and just, take can out of your vocabulary and go live your life that you want. I think that dreams are totally achievable. So, just do it. That's all it is. Just take that leap of faith and go. Weight loss, work goals, whatever it is. But thank you so much for having me. It's been amazing.
Aw, thank you. And viewers, I promise I'm going to be on Wednesday at 11 o'clock. So I'll see you guys then. Thank you so much for tuning in to What's the Buzz. You can follow me on Instagram at BEAA. So we'll see you next week, guys. Have a good weekend.